love. Temperatures approaching 100 degrees and humidity to boot. As we welcome you to Philadelphia and the fans on hand being treated to Photo Day today. Two teams in contention in their respective divisions, but on the outside looking in, Fox Saturday Baseball presents the Colorado Rockies against the Philadelphia Phillies. And welcome, everyone. Dick Stockton along with Tim McCarver. The Phillies have won 2 in a row. They have bounced back, and they have gotten 2 outstanding pitching performances, Cole Hamels and Roy Halladay, and they've needed it the way their hitting has gone.
Yeah, well, Dick, speaking of 2 in a row, the Philadelphia Phillies have, of course, been in the last 2 World Series in 08 and 09. And we used to talk about the Phillies in the vein of these guys can bludgeon you into submission. Not this year. In fact, the one statistic that shows how futile the Phillies have been on offense, 33% of the time they've scored 2 runs or less, and that says everything about their offensive season.
And, Tim, that's not going to get it done today against Ubaldo Jimenez. 15 wins, leading the National League in victories.
The best winning percentage all time at the All-Star break.
So that's the setup today. So it'll be the Rockies ace going against the Phillies, who they hope bats are starting to awaken. 2 teams who have been familiar rivals in postseason in the National League clash today. Fox Saturday Baseball presents the Rockies against the Phillies. On the field, it's over 100, and they do have a little breeze from left to right here in Philadelphia as we're set to go on a hot July in Philly, and a good aerial shot of the ballpark. This game is brought to you by Budweiser, official beer of the thirst inning, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. And here are the starting lineups for the Colorado Rockies, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Ryan Spilborghs will lead off in right field. Jonathan Herrera is at second. Carlos Gonzalez in center. Seth Smith batting cleanup in left. Ian Stewart will be the third baseman. Chris Iannetta behind the plate. Brad Hawk gets the start at first base. Clint Varmus will be the shortstop. and Ubaldo Jimenez on the mound for the Colorado Rockies. And Kyle Kendrick, and what an emotional roller coaster he must be going through. He was sent down after losing on Monday. On Tuesday, and here he is back again.
Giving up 7 runs against the Florida Marlins on Monday night in 5 innings. And that's why today, as Dick said, he was sent down, but Kendrick replaces Kendrick on the roster. And the biggest problem that Kyle has had this year is facing left-handed hitters. He's tried the changeup, he's tried the slider down and in, under the bat, but they continue to hit him well, as you saw, a .325 average for left-handed batters this year against Kendrick.
All right, Tim, and right now here are the 4 keys to the game.
For Colorado, find a way to win on the road. They're only 20-29 on the road, 31-16 at Coors Field, and as the Phillies, it's redundant from our opener. Get the bats as hot as the weather.
All right, but Colorado will step in first with Ryan Spilborghs, the right fielder. Spilborghs batting .263 with 8 homers and 17 runs batted in. Only the second time this year he has been installed as the leadoff hitter. And the first pitch of the game is low and away for ball 1. Darrell Cousins, the crew chief, is the home plate umpire with G.J. Rayburn at first, Jim Wolf at second, and Marvin Hudson at third. 2 balls and no strikes. So the crew chief calling balls and strikes today, Tim. They have to be out there. They don't get a chance to go in the dugout. Maybe a brief rest at some point during the game. And there's a strike on the outside corner. 2-1. You mentioned 20-29 on the road for the Rockies. Only the Mets have a worse road record for those teams who are playing 500 ball or better.
Mets winning last night at Los Angeles 6-1 behind another fine outing from Johan Santana.
And sharply hit up the middle for a base hit. Spilborghs with a leadoff single. Last night the Rockies lost 6-0. They had no extra base hits in the game as they were totally stymied by Roy Halladay, who had a scoreless 8-inning duel with 5 hits and 9 strikeouts. There is Halladay winning his 11th game of the year. Brings up Jonathan Herrera, the switch-hitting second baseman. .307 is his average with a homer and 14 runs batted in. As you look at Halladay coming off a great showing. Ball 1 to Herrera.
The Philadelphia Phillies, in fact, average more innings pitched from their starters than any other team in the major leagues, and that's in large part to Halladay. Halladay with 7 complete games. The Phillies have 10 as a staff.
And a call strike.
If the Phillies go ahead and lead the major leagues in going deeper into the game than any other team, it'll be the first time since 1954 that they do that. Of course, in those days, they had Robin Roberts to hurl 25 complete games a year.
Foul ball down the right field line. And in those days, you were expected,
sure,
to go the complete game. There were no such thing as closers in that time.
In fact, the statistic save was not even in vogue then. There's the late Robin Roberts. What a gentleman in every way.
And a workhorse, great pitcher, and a great star at Michigan State before he came up to the big leagues, and a basketball star as well. That pitch rides inside. 91 miles an hour, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kendrick, 25 years old, from Mount Vernon, Washington, and is his 4th year. The 2-2 pitch fouled away. So when you look at Cole Hamels against the Cardinals, he didn't get the win. And you look at Halladay, it's been 20 consecutive shutout innings by Philly pitchers.
Cole Hamels worked 8 innings against the Cardinals on Thursday. Shutout ball. In fact, the Cardinals only had 1 hit in 11 innings as the Phillies won it 2-0 in 11, scoring 2 in the top of the 11th.
And a full count now to Jonathan Herrera, with Spilborghs on at first and Carlos Gonzalez on deck.
I would imagine Spilborghs will be running here. You rely on the eyes of the hitter not to swing at a ball, but it's up to him to keep the ball in play or at least make contact.
And the runner is off, and the pitch is fouled away. A good jump that time by Spilborghs. And he'll have to come back. So the count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes to Jonathan Herrera, the Venezuelan infielder.
One thing you try to remember as a runner on at first with a 3-2 counter, if you're running on a hit and run play, is you don't need a good jump because it's really up to the hitter to put the ball in play.
He's off again on the hit and run attempt. Swung on and missed. Strike 3, and they get him at second. Strikeout, throw him out, double play, and there are 2 down, and the bases are clear.
I think Spilborghs needed a better jump here. Strike him out, throw him out. That's a fine play by Brian Snyder, throwing over the hitter. Ryan Spilborghs. Spilborghs trying to slide to the outside of the bag. And he was tagged out quickly by Jimmy Rollins.
So with 2 down, here's Carlos Gonzalez, who is 9th in the National League, batting .305, and leads the team as well in homers with 17, RBIs with 61, and then you can go down a notch to stolen bases, where he tops the club at 13 at that. Get an idea what kind of year he has as the first pitch misses inside.
We could almost do a game, Dick, and rely only on the nicknames of the players.
Right.
Carlos Gonzalez, his nickname is Cargo. How appropriate. Everybody in Denver and throughout the Rocky Mountain High area knows Cargo by now.
Fly ball, it stays up forever in right field, and Jason Worth makes the play. 1 hit, none left. Rockies don't score. Phillies coming up. Star game and a 15-1 record at the break, and an outstanding first half pitcher. 0.93 earned run average, and here he is making his 20th start of the year, and the opponent's average of 202, and that leads the National League. And here's our sprint player first for Ubaldo Jimenez. He is the first Rocky to throw a no-hitter, and the first Rockies pitcher to start an all-star game, and the no-hitter was in April against the Atlanta Braves.
You talk about a chiseled presence on the mound. That's the best 2 words that I could think of. He exudes strength. He's got to get back to the fastball, said Bob Apodaca, the pitching coach of the Rockies. But there are very few, I think that second point, Dick, there are very few pitchers that throw both hard and heavy fastballs. It has to do with the way you grip the ball. You either throw it hard or heavy. And most of the guys who throw it heavy don't throw it as hard as other guys.
Jimmy Rollins swinging at the first pitch, flies out to Seth Smith for out number 1. And right now, the starting lineup for the Phillies, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the run. Placido Polanco coming up right now. Raul Ibanez with a good game last night. Batting 3rd, Ryan Howard in cleanup. Jason Worth batting in the 5th slot. Shane Victorino batting 6th. Greg Dobbs is at third base today. Brian Schneider behind the plate, and Kendrick batting ninth, the pitcher, as Polanco stepping in.
He'll take a pitch. Probably take a strike. There are no better second place hitters in the game than Polanco because of his ability to hit with 2 strikes.
Third in the league, batting .317. He lines it to right field, but Spilborghs in perfect position makes the catch for out number 2. So an economy of pitches from Jimenez thus far. And we have 2 out to Raul Ibanez. 3 pitches, 2 outs, and Ibanez stepping in.
2 outs on 3 fastballs.
Ibanez with 3 runs batted in on a 3-for-5 night last night with a double. Hitting .254, 7 homers, 44 runs batted in. Infield around to the right, the outfield straight away, and the first pitch is a strike. Normally Ibanez hits in the 6th slot, but when he's hitting third, he's doing well, hitting over .350. That pitch is up high. And our sprint player first for Ryan Howard since 2006. Leads everybody in home runs and first in RBIs as well. And there you see Ryan Howard, who is the cleanup hitter. And if Ibanez gets on, he'll come to the plate. 2-1 pitch, and the count even. Ibanez has not hit well as of late, and so the Phillies hope what he did last night could be the start of good things.
Yeah, it's a sign of their offense. It has been a team effort this year, just like the last 2 years in the World Series appearances have been.
And the count runs full to him.
That's a bad call right there, to throw your first breaking ball on a 2-2 count with Ryan Howard on deck. I think you stick with your fastball and make Ibanez hit that pitch.
And it's popped up to shallow center field. Coming over is Carlos Gonzalez. So 9 pitches for Jimenez as he retires the Phillies in order. We've completed 1, no score. The 2010 Motor Trend Car of the Year. Get in and drive one. And by Sprint, the Now Network.
We talked about how heavy the fastball was of Ubaldo Jimenez, and that's how heavy it is. You make solid contact on the fat part of the bat where you're supposed to hit it, and it breaks your bat. Turns regular wood or maple or ash into balsa wood. That's what Jimenez can do.
I think everything's going to be heavy today on a day like this.
Yeah, but I mean, just the pitch of Jimenez. I don't think I've seen a guy throw that heavy a fastball in a long, long time.
Seth Smith, cleanup hitter for the Rockies, leading off, and he takes ball one. Smith batting .281, 13 homers and 41 runs batted in. He had a career high with 15 homers last year. And hits a shot to right field over the head of Jason Worth to the wall. And Seth Smith will go in the second with a stand-up double to start the second inning. So the Rockies with hits to start the first and second innings.
Seth Smith has had only 228 plate appearances this year and has 41 RBIs. He is a good-looking hitter. And Kyle Kendrick continues to have problems with left-handers. Once again, that fastball is too true to left-handed batters.
And that's why he's going to face the next three hitters who are left-handed hitters.
Right.
One's a switch hitter, Ian Stewart, the third baseman, batting .255, 13 homers and 47 runs batted in. Rockies struggle on the road, as Tim pointed out. They're outstanding at home. Most of their hitters have problems on the road, but not Stewart, who's hit for good power away from home, as Schneider goes to the mound to check with Kendrick.
He's got 13 home runs. All but 2 have been hit on the road. So he goes against the grain, like a Jimenez fastball.
Rockies third in the league in hitting. And don't forget, they're playing without Troy Tulowitzki, who they hope to get back on Tuesday. There's the bunt attempt, and it's fouled off. Not a good pitch to bunt. And strike one. So Tulowitzki has been out for 30 games. This is the injury, as broke his left wrist when he was hit by a pitch from Alex Burnett, the Minnesota Twins reliever. The Rockies have gone 17-13 without Tulowitzki. They know they've got to get him back. And not only because of what he does on the field, he has really been the kind of the heart and soul of this team. 1-1 to Stewart. Jim Tracy, who took over from Clint Hurdle last year, and he's been really a successful manager with the Rockies. Runner at second is Seth Smith. The pitch fouled off. 1-2.
How about you ask Jim Tracy a very interesting question about whether he had changed from his 5 years as manager of the Dodgers, 2 years with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Jim said, you know, the difference about managing a team in Denver is he feels that he is appreciated by the players, by the front office, and by the fans.
You rarely hear a manager express
true.
that.
That's right.
Foul ball, remains 1-2.
There's Don Baylor, speaking of managers of the Rockies. He was once the manager of the Rockies, now the hitting instructor, who slid into second base harder than anybody and into catchers harder than anybody in my experience, with the exception of Tommy Agee.
Pretty good testimony there. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Ian Stewart. Leadoff double by Seth Smith to right field. Rockies trying to jump ahead of Kyle Kendrick in support of Ubaldo Jimenez, who has had good run support this year.
The Philadelphia Phillies, on the other hand, have replaced hitting coaches. Milt Thompson yesterday, and Charlie Manuel, the manager of the Phillies, saying it was one of the tough days of his career. Greg Gross was named hitting instructor. He and Milt Thompson, the former hitting instructor, very close.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Gross was the hitting coach 2002 to 2004, and Thompson replaced him when Charlie Manuel replaced Larry Boa as manager of the ball club. And Charlie was telling us before the game how tough a job it is. There's a ground ball gloved beautifully by Howard. He flips to Kendrick for the out. as Smith goes to third. Well played by Ryan Howard, and there's one away.
That's the situation where everybody did their job. Stewart pulls the ball to get the runner to third. Howard makes a terrific play, and Kendrick covers first. Very nice. A couple of winters ago, before his big contract, Ryan Howard went down, took ground balls with Sam Palazzo down in Clearwater in January. Tried to improve his defense, lost some weight. That's an example of how much he's improved his defense.
So not only did that save a run, which did, the ball was in the hole, and Ryan Howard had to range far for that. Here is Chris Iannetta, the catcher, who's making just his 27th start. He takes ball one. So one out, and Seth Smith is at third base. The infield is playing back. In fact, Placido Polanco is playing on the edge of the outfield grass, so anything hit to the right side will get the run in. And a foul out of play, and it's 1-1.
Sometimes as the runner, even if that's the case, Dick, if you're the runner on at third base, you have to judge the speed of the ball hit, much like you're pulling from a stop sign, and you have to judge the speed of a car coming left or right. If it's a hard hit ball to third base, you may not want to try it.
One pitch and a fly ball in foul territory. Ryan Howard will watch it go into the stand. So it's 1-2 to Chris Iannetta. Well, pick a stat, pick a player, and build your baseball hot streak. Correctly pick 10 straight and win a Fox Sports baseball cap for the month of July. 20 is the most wins, helped by Mongoon 56 and Explorer 131. Now, the person with the most wins every month gets $500 in cash. Get your streak started today at foxsports.com/fantasy. And a call, third strike. Iannetta slowly backs up, will go to the dugout, and a big second out for Kendrick.
Good tailing fastball on the outside corner. You can see Brian Schneider setting up. Little tailing fastball on the corner to get Iannetta. Good pitch from Kendrick.
So two down, and Smith, who led off with a double and advanced on the ground ball to the right side. Now Brad Hopp batting .260. Hopp has struggled and had been replaced in left field. Takes a breaking ball inside 1-0. He's a power hitter, but has only 2 homers since late April. There you see on the current road trip, just 1 for 14.
He's a guy who should hit Kendrick well because he's got an uppercut swing, and Kendrick has to keep the ball down. Pitches like that for hitters with uppercut swings, they love to, and Jim Tracy's he's playing the hot hand right here. Forget the pitcher matchup, the hits against a particular pitcher. But with his swing, he should hit Kendrick well.
2-0 pitch and a check swing bouncer to third. Dobbs is up with it, and that'll do it. So a leadoff double. 1 out. Smith was at third, but the Rockies don't score in the middle of the second. 0-0. Budweiser, with full flavor and a crisp, clean finish, it's what we do. And aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV to find out how you can get 5 months free. The Eagles are starting to go to training camp soon, and that's the home of the Eagles, and they'll have a new quarterback this year in Kevin Cobb, with Donovan McNabb being traded to the Redskins. But back here, baseball, Ryan Howard looks at ball one as we go to the second. Howard hitting .303, leading the National League with 75 runs batted in, and tied for fourth with 22 home runs. And the count 2-0. Howard has a 9-game hitting streak.
Great power the other way. And against Jimenez, you might look for that. Good breaking ball right there in a fastball count. There aren't too many guys who pull Jimenez with any frequency. But here it is, a 2-0 fastball count breaking ball.
And comes back with the fastball. And the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. It's hard to imagine a pitcher with a 15-1 record struggling, but in a lot of ways, in his most recent starts, Jimenez has not been nearly as good as he was early on, and chasing that pitch high out of the strike zone is Howard, who strikes out.
Giving up 28 earned runs in his last 7 starts. That's 4 a game. But prior to that, he was unhittable. His first 12 starts of the year, a .81 earned run average, including a no-hitter, including the right to be the Rockies' first pitcher to start the All-Star game, and including a lot of other things.
Here's Jason Worth batting .280, 13 homers, 52 runs batted in. And hits a shot to center field for a base hit. So Jason Worth, who has been the object of trade talks with the Phillies, in the market for a starter, in particular Roy Oswalt, who now seems to favor the St. Louis Cardinals, and Worth's name had been mentioned. So the Phillies have their first hit of the game. That'll bring up Shane Victorino. Victorino had last night off. Switch hitter at .253, 15 homers, 53 runs driven in. Third baseman Ian Stewart a couple of steps in at third, looking for the possible bunt. First pitch is a ball.
Saw how Ionetta caught that ball, one of the asides in a pitcher with such great stuff that throws a hard, heavy fastball. As a watch how it just takes the mitt back. It's tough to throw on fastballs like that.
And it's popped up to the middle of the infield. And Barmas, the shortstop, coming over to make the catch. And Victorino, who's hitting some 40 points less than he was at the end of last year, is retired for the second out. That'll bring up Greg Dobbs. Third baseman at .202 with 4 homers and 13 runs driven in. Dobbs making his 23rd start of the year. He's also played right field and DH when the Phillies were involved in interleague play.
I think a running situation, Worth with only 7 stolen bases, but against a pitcher of the talent of Jimenez, you want to do something different. You can't play a station-to-station type of offense, because if you do, you'll lose to him.
And Charlie Manuel was telling us how much he enjoys that kind of baseball and manufacturing runs.
That's right. Manufacturing runs and running the bases. The Phillies are playing good offense. That's what they do.
Jason Worth with the lead. The pitch is way up, and it's 2-0. Jimenez has not had the greatest success against the Phillies. This is his 3rd regular season start, all here. And career-wise, 0-1 with an ERA of 8.10. That's the contrast between his first 14 starts and lately. And diving back is Worth. So that's his regular season mark. He did start in the NLDS last year, had no decision, and then in another game lost in the series against the Phillies. And the Phillies won 3-1. And he has missed some way out of the strike zone thus far, Tim, and is behind 3-0.
Yeah, he's fallen behind, and that's very unusual. But the one thing Bob Apodaca, the pitching coach of the Rockies, has to be happy about is that he's using his fastball. If you're going to fall behind, if you're a fastball pitcher, don't do it throwing something other than your best.
And a 4-pitch walk, and Dobbs is on. That's the first walk issued by Jimenez. Worth goes to second. So runners at first and second, 2 out, and Brian Schneider, the Phillies catcher, stepping to the plate. '25th time this year that Schneider has been in the starting lineup. Was with the Mets last year. He was the opening day catcher for the Mets in the last 2 previous seasons.
Had 2 walk-off home runs against the Cincinnati Reds. So 2 of his 3 home runs have really meant something. Phillies beating the Reds 4 in a row before the All-Star break. The last 2, 1-0. One on Saturday, 1-0, and on Sunday, 1-0. And that's the first time since 1913 that the Phillies won back-to-back 1-0 games.
I admire those people. I admire the people that actually research that.
Oh, I do too. I do too. It's brilliant.
There's a call strike 1-1. It's amazing that in the game you talked about with the Cardinals on Thursday, where you had 1 hit through the first 12 innings, and that was only the 3rd time, or 11 innings, that was only the 3rd time since 1900 that happened. And there's a pickoff attempt, and getting back as Barmes snuck behind Worth to take the throw. One and 1 to Brian Schneider. 2 runners on, 2 out. There's a strike, a high strike to Schneider. 1-2.
It was a high strike. A little under the letters. Normally umpires don't call that pitch as much anymore. But Jimenez got the call.
And the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's what the Phillies have to deal with today. They got Jimenez, who leads the league in wins with 15. Number 1 ERA in the National League on the road at 1.60, and the best earned run average in day games. So it's stacked up against the Phillies, you would think. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. And a foul ball keeps Schneider alive. Worth, the runner at second. Dobbs, who walked, is at first. Worth singled with 1 out. And the count runs full, 3-2. So after retiring the Phillies in order, throwing just 9 pitches in the first inning, Jimenez has had to work here, and he's got 18 already in this inning, 3-2 with 2 on, and saw the pitcher, Kyle Kendrick.
We're critical of pitch counts a lot, but on a day like today, you can certainly understand pitch count meaning a lot because of the oppressive humidity.
Kendrick, of course, on deck. If Schneider gets on, the runners go at 3-2, and not even close. High ball 4, and the bases are loaded. And Kyle Kendrick, the pitcher, coming up. Worth moves to third. Dobbs advances to second. Second consecutive walk by Jimenez. And here's Kendrick, who is 2 for 29 this year. So he can help his own cause here against one of the ace pitchers in the game.
So here's a situation where Jimenez has had 2 consecutive walks from the stretch. To me, I wind up here. I'm not going to worry about the pitcher or the base runner at third base.
It's a good cut on that fastball, does Kendrick.
Only 2 hits the year. Don't get alarmed. 2 for 29 against Jimenez. Maybe, but
that may be his best chance.
You get my drift.
Yeah, that may have been his best opportunity. There's a strike. His knees buckled on that breaking ball, and it's 0-2.
I mean, if I were Chris Sianetta, I would have gone out and told him, you can pitch from the windup here. You don't have to worry about the runner at third with the pitcher hitting.
Strike 3, blew it by him, and that'll do it. 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. The Phillies leave the bases loaded, and we go to the third. We'll return to Philadelphia after these words from your local Fox station. Brought to you by Mercedes. The Phillies are looking for their 3rd straight National League pennant. Name the 3 National League franchises that have won 3 or more consecutive pennants.
I know the last time it was done, but I don't know the other 2.
You can win a prize if you barge in with the answer. Clint Barmas leading off in the 3rd.
I win 1/3 of a prize if I get 1/3 of it right.
That's exactly. We'll break it into thirds. Barmas hitting .255, 7 homers, 42 runs batted in. Line drive foul, has the longest hitting streak of any Rocky this year, 14 games in a row. And of course with Tulowitzki, who went on the disabled list in mid-June with a .306 average. Barmas has come on and has been a valuable contributor.
He has played every game since Tulowitzki went on the disabled list.
Fly ball to left field. Ibanez camps under it, and that's out number 1. 1 away, and Ubaldo Jimenez, the pitcher, coming up with 1 out in the 3rd.
A lot of people say that if a hitter hits a ball out of the ballpark, it's automatically a mistake. There are a lot of mistakes made by pitchers. The last pitch to Barmas was a mistake. That was a fastball right down the pipe with the count, no balls and 2 strikes. He got away with it.
Just missed.
Yeah.
Jimenez taking a strike, 0-1. 5 for 46 for Jimenez and a 109 average. He has knocked in 4 runs. And the count 1-1. Rockies didn't score against the Phillies last night in the 6-0 win. And a swinging bunt. It's a fair ball, and off the mound is Kenrick, and he throws out Jimenez. So there are 2 down, and the top of the order, Ryan Spilborn.
You know, Dick, I did not know that Ubaldo Jimenez is the 9th Major League player whose first name starts with U. It's a good one. There it is.
Right fielder, Ryan Spilborn.
I did not know that. The second Ubaldo.
I did not know it, and to be honest, I didn't really think about it until it was brought up right now.
No.
I think it is interesting. 2 out, and Spilborn, who led off the game with a single, and it was erased on a strikeout throw-out double play trying to steal, takes a strike.
I remember UL Washington.
Yes.
The shortstop with Kansas City and other major league teams used to have the trademark toothpick hanging out of his mouth. I assume UL, because it's an initial, would be included in one of those 9 major league players. Urbina? Yeah, that's another good one.
A W there.
Yeah, W. That's UU, not double U.
No balls and 2 strikes to Spilborn. And it's 1-2 now as Kenrick trying to retire the Rockies in order here in the 3rd inning. And he strikes him out. 1-2-3 inning, and the 3rd strikeout for Kendrick. Jimmy Rollins will lead off for the Phillies in the bottom of the 3rd inning in a scoreless game. Done and decided I'll just forget about the fan and watch Jimmy Rollins come up for the 2nd time in the game, and he takes a strike. Rollins has been on the disabled list twice and came back the last time after the strained calf in late June. Only 41 games, and Charlie Manuel said really practically spring training for Rollins, who is hitting only 195 since coming off the DL. Switch hitter will be followed by Polanco and Ibanez here in the third inning.
Dick, you mentioned forget about the fans that blow like that. But that's the one thing the Phillies have not done. They have not forgotten their fans, and how could they? 86th consecutive sellout today. 86 in a row. And we were talking about it before the game. This is really one of the splendid major fan appreciation.
And I think he appreciates that little toy.
Oh, boy.
He has.
But this is one of the really great ballparks in the major leagues to watch a major league game.
And, of course, you had the pleasure of playing with the Phillies and was a broadcaster here in one of the great sports towns in America.
Absolutely.
3 balls and 1 strike to Rollins. Swing and a miss. Foul tipped into the glove of Iannetta. The count is full. And they talk about how tough you saw on the pregame show when you say who are the toughest fans, and we saw a bunch of players say Philadelphia is number 1, and they are demanding, but they know their game, whatever sport it is here, whether it's the Flyers or the Eagles or the 76ers or this club, the Phillies.
They live the game. They feel like they're on the field with you. And I think that was Ryan Howard's point. He said the Philly fans are the toughest, but they care the most.
And a flare into left field for a base hit, so Jimmy Rollins going the opposite way, and that's going to get your batting average up as Rollins with the leadoff single here in the third inning.
Well, it's interesting because Jimmy went it after that 3-1 pitch, and it was high out of the strike zone. That's almost a check swing that he just flips into left field.
So Rollins has 6 stolen bases in limited time, has not been caught this year, had 31 a year ago, and here's Polanco, who lined to right field his first time. And this is exactly what the Phillies wanted, to have these 2 hitters, 1-2, at the top of their order. There goes Rollins on the first pitch. Fastball inside, and he's got it stolen, and will take off and go to third on the throw. So there you have it, the Phillies, with a runner at third, nobody out. It'll be a stolen base and an error.
Terrific jump by Rollins, but as importantly, it's very, very difficult to throw with Jimenez pitching because his ball moves so much and it's so heavy. Backing out of there is Polanco. Looks like it hits the left heel of Jimmy Rollins and skips into center, and Rollins is at third with nobody out.
So Iannetta with the error. And here is Polanco with the count 1-0 now. 2 balls and no strikes. And so the crowd can sense a good inning for the Phillies here with Ibanez and then Howard to follow. Infield playing back in the middle, and now the count 3-0. So Jimenez, there you see the way the infield is aligned for Polanco, and the count 3-0 to him. Ibanez on deck. And that's low, ball 4. Runners at first and second. And now time for a DirecTV game break. Bottom of the third. Cardinals are up against the Cubs 2-1 as Apodaca goes to the mound. And Starlin Castro with 1 on and 1 out hits a 2-run homer off of Blake Hawksworth. Tyler Colvin scores ahead of a 3-2 Chicago, and then Mitchell Boggs with a wild pitch to Alfonso Soriano, and Yadier Molina has a throwing error to home, and all of a sudden 6-3 the Cubs, they hold on and win 6-5, and the Cardinals suffer their 3rd straight loss, and the conference at the mound now breaks up.
That young 20-year-old Starlin Castro, a good-looking player, as Cincinnati plays later on tonight in Houston, tied with the St. Louis Cardinals in the National League Central.
And, you know, when the Cardinals win 8 in a row and find themselves in front by only a half a game, and you know, you expect a bigger bang for your buck after that kind of winning streak. Well, here's Ibanez, who flied to center. Runners at first and third, nobody out. Ibanez fly to Gonzalez in center field his first time up. Here's a strike. Ibanez with a career high last year with 34 home runs. Flipped to first, and Polanco is back. Since the All-Star break, the Phillies hitting under 200 with runners in scoring position. The 0-1 pitch and a curveball, and Iannetta goes down to make that play 1-1. Leadoff single to left by Rollins. Polanco drew the walk. Already 3 walks given up by Jimenez.
Tie for the year is 6, the 17th of April against Atlanta.
Fouled off the fist, and it's 1-2. Last time the Phillies were in first place was May the 30th. And they have been under 500 since. And come into this game trailing the first place Braves by 6 games. And half a game in front of the Mets. 1-2. Breaking pitch misses. 2-2 now to Ibanez. And on deck is the dangerous Ryan Howard.
For the Florida Marlins last night, they win a game in walk-off fashion. They beat the Atlanta Braves on a home run by Donnie Murphy. And the Rockies know how that feels because Donnie Murphy did it on Monday night against the Rockies.
Check swing. Did he go around? They appealed no, says Marvin Hudson, the third base umpire. So that's a big call. It's 3-2 now.
Rockies bench, or the guys on the bench, have a great shot at that. Looked like he held up.
This is the 4th time that Jimenez has had a full count on a Philly batter. And the fake to third. And the expected reaction by the crowd every time a pitcher does that.
Right, thinking that it's a balk, but you can fake to second or third, not to first. Unless, of course, you step off the rubber. So by the time he faked to first, he had stepped off the rubber.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Ball 4. And the bases are loaded. So back-to-back walks last inning. And now again in the 3rd. And the bases are loaded with nobody out to Ryan Howard. And it doesn't get any tougher than that. Howard struck out his first time up. And the crowd starting to get enthusiastic here.
9 grand slams for Ryan Howard in his career.
Rollins at third, Polanco at second, Ibanez at first. Phillies looking to cash in, and a big fastball swung on and missed for a strike.
A guy like Jimenez, you get a man on at third and nobody out. It's not automatic that you're going to score that run. Some pitchers, yes, not Jimenez.
1-1 to Howard. Looking to add to his RBI lead in the National League with 75. He's allowed 1 grand slam in his career. Two and 1, so he's high and then high and away on the last 2 pitches.
I was thinking the same thing, Dick. All of his fastballs, when he's been wild, have been high in the strike zone. Now, Ryan Howard is a low ball hitter. So Howard has to be selective here and make Jimenez come down with the fastball.
And, of course, aware that the bases are loaded. Jimenez can't afford to fall behind by too much, and now he's behind 3-1. Another high pitch. This one was in tight, so it's 3-1 to Howard. Rollins, Polanco, and Ibanez on base. And a ground ball, fair ball down the right field line. 2 runs are going to score. And Howard will go into second with a double, and they're going to wave in at Bañez as well, and he'll come in easily on the triple by Ryan Howard, and the Phillies take a 3-0 lead.
Here are the pitches that got Ryan Howard into a great hitting situation. First pitch, fastball strike. Then a fastball high. A fastball high and tight, triple down the line.
And the Phillies take a 3-0 lead. Howard at third, still nobody out, and Jason Worth, who singled to center field his first time up. Time is called, and no, time was not called, and a wild pitch, and Howard will come across with the 4th run. Worth stepped out, and Jimenez delivered the pitch, but no sign was given by Darrell Cousins, the home plate umpire, and it'll go as a wild pitch, and Howard comes across.
Watch Worth ask for time. But time is not given. The pitch counts, and the pitch is a wild pitch. You've got to believe that the fact that Worth asked for time, that messed up Jimenez. The curveball was in the dirt, and Howard scores easily. Man.
Strange doings here in this 3rd inning, and the count is 2-0 to Jason Worth. So,
talk about a wretched run through 4 hitters for a guy who's 15-1 in July. Single, walk, 3-1 fastball, triple by the cleanup hitter.
And it's 2-1, but Jimenez with 3 no decisions in his last 5 starts. There's a call strike from 7 starts coming into today. Since that 15-1 beginning, his ERA is 5.20. Matt Belisle is warming up in the bullpen for the Rockies, and the count 3-2 to Worth.
You know, if you had chosen which pitcher would be doing this, giving up 4 runs, you'd probably say Kyle Kendrick before the game.
No question.
And not Ubaldo Jimenez.
And now Worth walks. So this is not the Ubaldo Jimenez that, Tim, you've seen, we've all seen in the first half of the year, started the All-Star game. He has walked 5 now, 3 here in the 3rd inning. And nobody out, and now Shane Victorino, who popped to short, comes up. 59 pitches already thrown after the first inning. He couldn't have gotten out of that any smoother.
Well, when you think about it from a human standpoint, Dick, he was so successful, rapid fire like through his first 12 games this year, a no-hitter. And from a mental standpoint, you got to believe that a 26-year-old thinks he's got to go out there and do it all the time.
And, you know, they were looking, as you look at the last 3 starts, all no decisions, and you see the problems that he has had. Victorino takes the ball, and the count 1-0 is that they were talking about, look, he has the same kind of ERA that Bob Gibson did.
Sure,
at
that's right. That's exactly right. They were talking, Bob Gibson had a 1.12 earned run average in 34 starts in 1968. And Jimenez was much lower, a .81 through his first 12 starts. So they were comparing Ubaldo to Gibson-esque numbers. And, you know, these guys are not robots.
And you would know, of course, having caught Bob Gibson. Well, you caught some great pitchers. Steve Carlton here in Philadelphia, Bob Gibson. They liked having you behind the plate. As Victorino fouls it off, he has thrown 32 pitches in this 3rd inning alone. So after the 1-2-3 set down with 9 pitches in the 1st inning, struggling in the 2nd and really having his problems in the 3rd. 1-2 to Victorino, 2-2 now. And remember, still nobody out. It all started with the Jimmy Rollins base hit He went after an outside pitch and lofted it to left field, and then back-to-back walks to Polanco and Ibanez, and then Howard's triple.
He's had 3 balls on every hitter this inning. The first 5, 4 runs, and it's 2-2 to Victorino.
And there it is. Let's go to a 6th hitter. Every hitter he has faced this inning, he's gone to the 3-ball count, as you pointed out. Now 3-2 to Victorino. Worth, you mentioned that he has 7 stolen bases this year in 8 tries.
Yeah, he'll be running here, no question.
And there goes Worth, ball 4. That's the fourth walk this inning. 6 in the game, 34 pitchers, and Jim Tracy has seen enough. He is coming out to get Jimenez, who in his last outing pitched 5 1/3, his shortest outing of the year, and now this will be the shortest outing of the year for Ubaldo Jimenez as he comes out after pitching 2+ innings. We'll be right back. And he gives way to Matt Belisle, who comes on with nobody out. The Phillies leading 4-0, and runners at first and second. Greg Dobbs, who walked his first time up. So Worth at second, Victorino on at first base. Good speed on the base paths. And the first pitch down low, ball 1. Belisle making his 45th appearance of the year and leads all relievers in the big leagues with 57 innings pitched. Fouled away, 1-1.
Such an uncharacteristic day. We know that Jimenez has had problems recently. But the high fastballs out of the strike zone, breaking balls in the dirt, and most all of his high fastballs for balls were out of the strike zone, not at the letters.
Belisle's 1-1 pitch, and again down low, 2-1. Matt Belisle, 30-year-old from Austin, Texas. 7th year in the big league, 2nd year with the Rockies, pitched 5 years for Cincinnati.
Signed as a minor league free agent
with the Rockies.
2-1 line shot foul into the crowd.
Here's an idea of what kind of day Ubaldo had.
Tough outing.
And remember, did come in with a career ERA of 8.10 against the Phillies. Here's the 2-2 pitch and a line drive foul again by Greg Dobbs. And the count remains 2-2. And a new bat for Dobbs. The Phillies scoring 5 runs in the 5th inning. And hopefully for them breaking out of their hitting doldrums, as Tim pointed out at the beginning of the broadcast. 5 runs last night in the 5th inning. 4 runs in the 3rd inning today. Off-speed breaking ball fouled off of Dobbs' foot. There's the new hitting instructor, Greg Gross. And only Rollins and Polanco were with the Phillies when Gross was the hitting instructor. And most of the, about all the rest of the team had Milt Thompson.
Yeah, and then Polanco was traded to Detroit. Spent some very successful years there and signed as a free agent with the Phillies last fall.
Well, Matt Belisle has caught the 3-ball disease as Jimenez went to 3 balls count on 6 hitters that he faced here in the 3rd.
So this is the 7th straight hitter with 3 balls on him.
Ryan Schneider waiting on deck. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on. Phillies have a 4-run lead, and as we said, good runners on the base paths. And if want to look at the 3-2 full count, 7th time for Rocky pitchers thus far. Runners don't go. 3-2 pitch through the hole in left field for a base hit. Jason Worth will come around and score. And that'll make it 5-0. Greg Dobbs with his 14th run batted in of the year. And stopping at second is Victorino. And the beat goes on for the Phillies here in a big 3rd inning.
We learned last year that with runners on at first and second, Charlie Manuel does not like to send the runners. And the reason for that, he wants the hitter to have a quiet background on which to hit, or from which to hit, I guess. May remember Game 2 of the World Series last year in the 8th inning with the Phillies trailing by 2. It was 3-1 Yankees. And Chase Utley was the batter, 3-2 on him. Charlie did not send the runners, and a 4-6-3 double play. I thought that both runners would be going. I said that. And Charlie corrected me in so many words after the game. And before the game the next day, there was Chase Utley. Huh, Charlie?
Staying refreshed.
Very
hydrated.
Very professional, however. He said some guys.
Ground ball to shortstop. Barmes gets the force. And Jim Wolf, the umpire, had to make sure that Jonathan Herrera had the ball when he stepped on the bag.
That's a very good point, Dick. I think that's why Jim Wolf waited and waited to make sure that Herrera was on the bag. And he was. Good call.
That's only the first out. We played nearly 30 minutes of Phillies batting here in the half of the 3rd inning, and we just have the first out. And here's Kyle Kendrick, the 9th batter to come up. And a time called as Iannetta talks to Belisle. Runners at first and third with 1 away. 5 runs in.
They may be talking about the possibility of a safety squeeze or a squeeze with one out, runners on at first and third. Kendrick, we mentioned, 2 for 30 on the year, so he's not a good hitter.
Victorino on third. Schneider, the runner, at first. Infield shortening up a bit. And third baseman Stewart really in, and actually he is marking time with Victorino, the runner, at third.
Well, that's why if you bunt the ball down the third baseline, there are very few things in baseball, if any, that are foolproof. This is a foolproof play. Bunt the ball down the third baseline. The runner at third comes in with the third baseman. When he catches the ball, throws to first, you walk home. There's no defense for it. And Victorino, to go on top of that, is a very fast runner.
So we won't say that Stewart is even with the bag. We'll say he's even with Victorino.
And that's what you as the runner do. Stay even with the third baseman.
Good bunt, and it's going to stay fair. Iannetta will throw to first, but no advance by Victorino. As Schneider moves to second, it'll be a sacrifice. And now with 2 down, the Phillies have runners at second and third.
So you can see Victorino even with third baseman Ian Stewart. And had that ball been bunted down third, if Stewart makes this play, then Victorino can walk home. But over first, now you're saying nobody's covering home, but Victorino's got a long way to go. Somebody will be at home.
So Jimmy Rollins, who started it all with a single, comes up and takes a breaking pitch for a strike. 5 runs in for the Phillies, and Rollins is the 10th man to bat. He singled, stole a base, advanced to third on an error. They all came around. Polanco and Ibanez on Ryan Howard's triple. That was the big blow. Around 4 walks, an error, and a wild pitch. And here's a line shot left center field. It'll be a base hit. 2 more runs will come across for the Phillies as Rollins rounds second, headed for third, and slides in safely with a triple. So Jimmy Rollins, who had a couple of innings as the igniter last night, may be coming out of it now as he singles and triples in the same inning, drives in 2 more runs, and it's 7-0.
Good news for the Phillies on the breaking ball from Belisle. Jimmy Rollins with his 97th triple as a Philly, and it ties him with the legendary, the greatest sports figure in this city's history, and that's Richie Ashburn.
Number 1.
Number 1 in your hearts, and on the back of his Philly jersey for 12 years, from 48 through 59.
Check swing by Polanco, and a great leadoff hitter, and was a magician with the bat, and an outstanding center fielder from Tilden, Nebraska.
That is, those 97 triples are 4th in Phillies history, but the point was that Rollins tied Ashburn. Ashburn played golf with him probably 200 times, and he'd be over a 2-foot putt and say, "Boys, I can't miss this putt. You're looking at a 2-time batting champion," and he'd miss the putt.
And a great longtime partner and a great friend of the late Harry Callis.
Oh yeah, what a
Ashburn Alley.
I mean, when you're the biggest sports figure in a city the size of Philadelphia's history, you're a pretty big sports figure, and he was.
1 and 2 with Rollins at third with 2 out.
One of the funniest men I've ever met.
And the nickname Whitey, of course, and I mentioned Tilden, Nebraska, and maybe the most famous athlete of all time from that town.
He won the MVP with the 1962 Mets, a team that lost 120 games. They gave him a boat. He took it to Tilden, Nebraska, and the boat sank the first time out. He never retrieved the boat.
In Nebraska, what did he put in his bathtub? I mean, where did he put the boat?
No. It was a lake out there.
Oh,
he put the boat in the lake. The boat sank. He never retrieved the boat. That's what you get when you're the MVP of a team that loses 120 games during the season.
A boat to a guy who lives in Nebraska.
Right.
3-2 pitch off of Belial. Lost it for the moment. Makes a hard throw to first, and that'll do it. So 11 men come to the plate, and 7 cross it. 7-0 Phillies as we go to the fourth. Taco Bell is sponsored by Michelin, a better way forward. By Pepsi, when you choose Pepsi, you support the Pepsi Refresh Project. And by Loveza. Well, what a half inning we had. 11 men coming to the plate. 7 runs on only 3 hits.
55 pitches faced that inning and 7 3-ball counts.
Well, the Rockies, at least they have a little time. They have a big mountain here, 7-run deficit. Jonathan Herrera, followed by Carlos Gonzalez and Seth Smith against Kyle Kendrick, who has a huge cushion here as we go to the 4th inning. First pitch, strike 1. Herrera struck out his first time up, and Spilborghs was running on the pitch, and he was nailed attempting to steal. One and one to Herrera. Jonathan Herrera has had 2 substantial hitting streaks this year, a 10-game string in June, and then a 13-game hitting streak to start July. 2 and 1. Kyle Kendrick 5 and 4 on the year. And a foul off the front of the Phillies dugout. Kendrick making his 6th regular season start against the Rockies. 1 and 1 and a 5.93 earned run average. Did not face them in the division series last year. 2-2 slap to third. Greg Dobbs eats it up, and Herrera is retired for the first out. Well, now it's time for today's trivia question and answer, brought to you by Mercedes. Question again. The Phillies looking for their 3rd straight National League pennant. Name the 3 National League franchises that have won 3 or more consecutive pennants, and here they are. Starts with the Cubs in 06-08. The New York Giants, who did it twice, and of course you knew about the St. Louis Cardinals.
I did. The Cardinals and the St. Louis Browns, by the way, playing in the only World Series that the 2 teams confronted one another. That was 1944, with the Cardinals winning it 42-3-4. I did not know the other 2. Good one.
Carlos Gonzalez, who flied to right, takes ball one. And, of course, they played at the old Sportsman's Park in St. Louis.
Later named Busch Stadium, and now, of course, two Busch Stadiums have been built. The one the Cardinals are presently playing in, and a Busch Stadium sandwiched in between the other two.
Kendrick's 1-0 pitch, and it's 2-0 to Gonzalez. And, of course, the St. Louis Browns ultimately moved to Baltimore in 1954. Rockies in the midst of an 11-game, 11-day trip coming out of the All-Star break. It's the longest trip of the year. They've dropped 6 of their first 8, trailing here. 2-1 now to Gonzalez, coming in leading the team in batting, homers, RBIs, and steals. And he has hit well against Philadelphia pitching. And a broken bat looper into center field. Coming up is Victorino to make the catch 2 out. Well, teams around the league are competing for a $200,000 Pepsi Refresh grant. Vote for your team's idea at PepsiRefresh.mlb.com. 2 down on a day in which the temperature was over 100 degrees when we started on the field, and just may be about that anywhere. Seth Smith doubled to start the second inning. And the first pitch is in for the strike, one of 2 hits for the Rockies.
So if you're watching in Aspen, Vail, Glenwood Springs, Boulder, Cheyenne, Wyoming, Rocky Country, we can give you the guys in the pool. There you go.
I'm surprised we don't have more.
Well, we don't want to transport the humidity out to that one of the beautiful areas in our country. It's 72 by the way in Vail right now, and the humidity is about 40%. We understand.
That's why so many people flock there during these months.
That's right. Gorgeous. Today, different story in Philadelphia.
There's a far view of that pool, and those on the rooftops. A lot of people go out there. And the count now 3-1. Those people that don't have a pool will come out to the roof and bring out their beach chairs and get some sun in the summertime. 3 balls and a strike to Seth Smith with 2 down in the Rockies' 4th inning. Foul ball.
You told me something I didn't know before the game, which you usually do. Tell me something I don't know. That
not much.
Who wrote some summertime?
Remember that great song?
Some
summertime. And that would be a trivia question that you could have all year long and nobody would get it, except maybe a few who know that the man who wrote "It's some summertime," and we may have to wait for this ball, which is not caught. We can tell you, and Tim, of course, knows who he is. The former and late public address announcer at Fenway Park in Boston.
Unbelievable.
Sherm Feller wrote that song.
That just blew me away. I love that.
Yeah. He was a songwriter.
That was a hit, too. That song was.
Yeah, it was a big hit.
It was a big hit.
Yeah, it was a big hit. It was a perfect
Back
summertime.
in the early 70s, late 60s, something like that.
So Sherm Feller did other things other than saying, "Number 8, Carl Yastrzemski, number 8," which is what he would do. Delaware River and the boaters having a day. 3-2 to Seth Smith. Stays alive, fouls it out of play.
Speaking of Yaz, today is the 400th or the anniversary of his 400th home run that he hit in 1979. Yaz Mataz, MVP, and the last guy to win the Triple Crown in baseball. That was back in 1967 when he was the toast of Beantown.
And a candidate coming up next week on Fox, Miguel Cabrera is a candidate.
Sizzling hot. You talk about a guy as hot as the weather, Miguel Cabrera. Wow.
3-2 pitch with 2 away. And it's hit out to center field. Line shot, and what a play by Victorino. That ball was taking off in left center field and going away from the play. Seth Smith robbed of extra bases by Victorino to retire the side in order. And the reaction of Kyle Kendrick, what do you expect? 7-0, we go to the bottom of the fourth. Top of the fourth inning, and Raul Ibanez takes ball one from Matt Belisle, the second pitcher of the day. Ubaldo Jimenez knocked out after 2 innings and facing 6 batters in the third. Shortest outing of the year. Ibanez flied out and walked. 11 men came to the plate last inning against the Rockies in a big cut, and it's 2-1. Ibanez, 38 years old, and lifts it in the air to left center field. And Gonzalez has it for out number 1. And we talked to Jim Tracy, the Rockies manager, and of course chomping at the bit to get Troy Tulowitzki back, which should be Tuesday.
Well, we really are, Dick. Obviously, things haven't gone so well for us today as we had it mapped out. You know, Ubaldo struggled unmercifully with his command of actually all his pitches. And, you know, as I was talking to you and Timmy this morning, you know, we're missing a very, very good player. And I think we're to the point now that we've done a remarkable job in his absence. But I think now, you know, his presence is necessary here. And the loss of him is beginning to be felt.
And, Jim, as you watch as the manager of this team, and we watch from the booth, and any baseball fan, you come to realize that regardless of how easy Ubaldo made it look earlier, that these guys you're dealing with are not robots out there.
No, they're not, Timmy. And obviously the demand on a starting pitcher is every 5th day that you have to go out there with good stuff, because if you don't, that's why they call it the major leagues. Other people are going to take advantage of you. They were very, very patient in their approach. He had a real good first inning, but from the second inning on, lost command, and they ran him out of the game.
Hey, Jim, thanks for being with us. I know you're looking forward to getting home. Thank you.
All right, Dick.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, Tim.
Jim Tracy as Ryan Howard flies out to Seth Smith in left field, and 2 down here in the 4th inning. And you pointed this out earlier, Tim, you've got Kyle Kendrick, who was sent down on Tuesday, called up to start this game against Ubaldo Jimenez at 15-1. And you say, well, you know, easy with the way this game should go.
Yeah, if anybody's going to have a big inning, it would be the Rockies against Kendrick. And yet Kyle is pitching a shutout, and Ubaldo's out of the game. So go figure. I mean, it's a tough game to figure out.
Jason Worth has been on twice with a single and a walk. And hits this one deep to left field. Going back is Seth Smith, and it's off the wall. Worth on his way to second, and he'll make it easy with a double. 2-out double by Jason Worth. He's 2 for 2 with the walk. Good game so far for him.
Jason Worth, his walk year, and Jason has said all year long that it hasn't bothered him. The fact that he could be playing somewhere else next year with a new contract. But I'll tell you, there are few guys that play the game at the month of late May, month of June, July. It doesn't bother. How many All-Stars, as an example, how many All-Stars get traded at the trading deadline? Not too many. When you think about it over the years.
No.
So if they were good enough to play, then they would have been All-Stars. A guy like Jason Worth, who was an All-Star last year but not this year. Why is that? I think you ask yourself that question, and the fact that it's got to involve their minds in some way and bother them some way.
It has to.
Absolutely. Talk about not robots. I mean, you know, got to think about your future.
Shane Victorino, who popped up and walked and scored a run. 1 ball and 1 strike. And, you know, when you've been playing on a team that's won the World Series, it's, you know, been in postseason, you don't want to go anywhere.
No. And obviously it's dollars and cents with the Phillies. Will they make a move? I mean, Roy Oswald's name's been bandied about. The Cardinals appear to be the front runners now. We don't know. Ed Wade, the general manager of the Astros, used to be the general manager here. He and Ruben Amaro are very, very close friends. They talk 2 or 3 times a day, from what Ruben has said.
1-2 pitch and a changeup. Foul tipped into Ionetta's glove, and that'll do it. Worth with the double is stranded at second. We go to the 5th inning, 7-0. The Phillies in front. Cancer. Visit standuptocancer.org to learn how you can help in the fight against cancer. Sellout crowd in Philadelphia, and the fans on a hot day enjoying a 7-0 Phillies lead. And Ian Stewart will lead off in the 5th against Kyle Kendrick. And swings at the first pitch. Deep fly to center field. Victorino looks up. It's gone. A home run for Ian Stewart, his 14th of the year. And that one just took off and left the park in the deepest part. So Kyle Kendrick has now given up 19 home runs in 19 starts this year, and it's a 7-1 game.
Boy, you talk about a ball that was just absolutely walloped. Right down the pipe. Way out of here.
And Chris Iannetta coming to the plate. Called out on strikes his first time, and there's a strike to him. So that home run by Ian Stewart, a booming drive, ends a string of 24 consecutive scoreless innings thrown by Phillies pitchers. 1-1 now to Iannetta.
Ross Gload of the Phillies, the left-handed batter, hit a 2-run shot last night that was in that similar area, a little to the right in the Phillies bullpen. If that ball had it been to the right, it would have gone to the Phillies bullpen.
One hopper to Polanco, and that'll be the first out here in the 5th inning.
You know, it's easier to hit when you're trailing 7-0, and the reason for that is you get more predictable pitches. That fastball right down the pipe, because when it makes sense, that pitchers should not throw around guys and throw breaking balls in fastball counts, things like that. It's easier to hit. That's not discounting what Ian just did either.
Call strike to Brad Hopp, who bounced out to Greg Dobbs his first time up. He had 3 RBIs off of Roy Halladay in the division series last year, and he hits a soft liner to Polanco for the second out.
Speaking of knowing what's coming, you know, Jim Tracy is a very, very lighthearted guy. He's serious, but he can be lighthearted. And the Phillies were out in Colorado on May 10th, 11th, and 12th. And the accusation from the Rockies was that the Phillies were stealing signs. Well, Jim Tracy, about a week later, got a T-shirt that from a Philadelphia fan that's hilarious. And he carries it around with him all over the league. We'll try to give it to you after this pitch.
Fouled off, and it's a riot.
And here's the T-shirt. From a Phillies fan, we have 84 home games, tasers. You may remember that taser incident from a security guard a couple of months ago. Roy Halladay and your signs. Oh, I love that. He had it hanging in his office when we were in there today.
Foul at the plate, and Major League Baseball had warned the Phillies for the signs, the binoculars out in left field. That is in the bullpen, Mick Billmeyer.
And Charlie, as a matter of fact, Charlie Manuel talked to Jim Tracy. Don't know whether it was apologizing or whatever, but they straightened it out, and Jim Tracy said that's water over the bridge. But he still takes that T-shirt everywhere. And this is where, back in the middle of May, almost the middle of May 10th to be exact, the Phillies bullpen coach, catching instructor Mick Billingmeyer, was accused of stealing signs with his binoculars. It was discounted by Charlie Manuel. And then Jim Tracy complained to umpire Jerry Crawford, who told Charlie to instruct Billingmeyer to stop using the binoculars, and that's as far as it went. Now it's a joke more than anything else.
They called it binocular gate, because everything
Right.
like this has to have the word gate at
Right,
the end of it.
of course.
You know? And a comebacker. And Kendrick throws out Barmas. So the leadoff home run by Ian Stewart breaks the shutout, but the Phillies comfortably in front now, 7-1. Outside the bun. Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV to find out how you can get 5 months free. Phillies coming up in the bottom of the 5th inning, and Greg Dobbs takes strike one from Matt Belisle. Came in with nobody out in the 3rd inning. Ubaldo Jimenez working 2+ innings, allowed 6 runs on only 3 hits. Walked 2, but he struck out. He walked 6 and struck out 2. And that was the big problem there. Not too many hard hit balls against him. Ryan Howard hit a shot down the right field line for a bases loaded triple off the fist and grounded to Haup, who makes the play to Belisle, and Dobbs is retired for the first out. Here is today's game summary brought to you by Verizon. Phillies scoring their runs in the 3rd inning, and Jimenez tying the shortest outing of his career back in 2007 against the Cubs. And finally, the home run by Stewart snapped the 24 scoreless inning streak by the Philly pitchers. Brian Schneider, the hitter. Walked and reached on a fielder's choice and came around and scored. And a shot to first base, and Haup will make the play unassisted for the 2nd out.
With his passion about hitting, you know Charlie Manuel's thinking that, okay, we've got a comfortable lead here, 7-1. We shut out the Cardinals 2-0, and then we won 6-0 last night. Even though we could be winning three games in a row, we've only scored in 4 of the last 24 innings.
Great point. The 2 runs in the 11th.
2 runs in the 11th on Thursday, 5 runs, and then the solo run late in the game last night, and then the 7 today in the 3rd.
Kyle Kendrick 0-1 in a 1-ball-and-1 strike.
You don't get out of a team slump by scoring a lot of runs in 1 inning and none anytime after that.
Grounded to 3rd. Ian Stewart, and a quick 1-2-3 inning for Matt Belisle, and that will retire the Phillies in the 5th. On to the 6th, 7-1 in favor of Philly. By Verizon, the signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. Verizon. And by Chevrolet, every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty. Phillies lead at 7-1. They've out-hit the Rockies 6-3. And we'll have a pinch hitter, Dexter Fowler, will be batting in the pitcher spot. Fowler, a switch hitter, is hitting .217 on the year with 2 homers and 11 runs batted in. And you can see refreshments galore by the crowd using what they can to keep cool, fanning themselves. So Fowler 0 for 7 as a pinch hitter facing Kyle Kendrick.
And you know what Jim Tracy's saying to himself right now. Now, Dexter, do not hit the ball in the air.
He was talking about him before the game.
He's won for his last 33, and most have been fly ball outs. And Jim's saying, Dexter, you're not a home run hitter. You hit a ball in the air, it's an out.
And he hits it down right field line, fair ball, and Worth will chase it into the corner. And going to second and rounding second and stumbling for the moment. And here comes the throw, and he's out.
Oh, boy.
Down 7-1, Dexter Fowler not only decided to go to make it a triple, but stumbled and had a chance to go back to second. He didn't, and he is out at third for out number 1.
He hits it in the air, but it's a line drive, not a fly ball. Just a horrible base running mistake by Dexter Fowler. Now, without the stumble, he may have made it to third, but that's not the point. You don't make the first or third out at third base, but particularly trailing by 6 runs, no way can you make the first out at third base.
And the top of the order, Ryan Spilborghs takes ball 1, so that is tough, and Jim Tracy's got to be shaking his head there. So Fowler gets credit for the double and was out. Worth to Polanco to Dobbs. Way in front of that was Spilborghs in the count 1-1. Spilborghs 1 for 2. Single that struck out, and the ground ball hit sharply. Polanco to his right makes the play, and that's out number 2. Well, hey fans, Fox Fantasy Football is back and better than ever. New draft rooms, greater customization, faster live scoring, and still 100% free. Play today at foxsports.com/fantasy. Boy, that fantasy, those fans love that. And they hang in there, and of course on Sunday on Fox Box, we have the score, we have the highlights going through. And, you know, it's a pastime unto its own for football fans.
And on a day like today, it's hard to believe that football season's right around the corner.
Jonathan Herrera 0 for 2. And of course, it's a big year for Fox. Super Bowl from Dallas. And there's the first week of the season, doubleheader, starting at 1, Carolina at the Giants, Green Bay at Philadelphia, the featured games. There's a call strike to Herrera, and it's 2-1.
Aaron Rodgers against a McNabless Eagles team.
Is that like binocular gate?
Yes.
We've got to get those last syllable in there. There's pitch missing outside. 3-1 to Herrera with 2 out. Taylor Buchholz, who was just recalled today by the Rockies, throwing in their bullpen and is likely to come in to pitch in the bottom of the 6th. Meanwhile, Kyle Kendrick sails along, leading 7-1. Slap to the right side, and Polanco retires the side. So there was a leadoff double. Fowler out at third. And the Rockies go quietly. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Little sun, little dance at the top of the crowd. Young Philly fans on hand. Great to see young people at the ballpark.
Don't forget your sunscreen.
Phillies leading 7-1, trying to make it 3 in a row. And the new Rockies pitcher is Taylor Buchholz, who was just recalled. 28-year-old from Springfield, Pennsylvania. In fact, he grew up just 10 miles west of Citizens Bank Park. And he went to Springfield Delco High School. So coming back home to face Jimmy Rollins. And the first pitch is a strike.
Taylor was born in Upper Darby, the same area that from where Mike Scioscia reigns. Fine manager, and I mean, he is a terrific manager of the Los Angeles Angels at Anaheim, but they are really having their problems this year. The Texas Rangers now with the 7-game lead in the American League West.
And there are 3 people in our crew from that same hometown, so they're cheering Taylor Buchholz.
Upper Darby, right?
Yep, who last pitched in the big leagues in September of 2008, had Tommy John surgery in June of the next year, and called up today after 15 appearances in AAA. Rollins grounds it foul past Davey Lopes, the first base coach. Rollins, who started getting it going last night, had a leadoff single in the 5th to start the 5-run inning and a double to start the 8th when the Phillies scored, is 2 for 3 with a single and a 2-run triple. And he had the single and the extra base hit in the same inning. Lines this foul down the right field line. Two balls and 2 strikes. And Rollins strikes out on an off-speed pitch. Change up, and there's one away. Well, it's a hot day. And the old question, how hot is it? Well, how are you going to measure it? 105 on the field, 95 degrees. Shane Victorino getting a wet towel treatment on the bench. And what is Philadelphia known for?
Cheesesteaks.
Yes, of course, the cheesesteak. Well, why don't we bring out a cheesesteak?
Yo, cheesesteak.
See if we can cook one. Here's Placido Polanco. Fouls off the first pitch. Okay, now this was earlier. Just put the cheese on.
Won't take long. Won't take long. 5 minutes later, melted.
Didn't take long at all. 0-1. And 2 balls, or I should say 1 ball and 1 strike to Polanco, who has lined out and walked and scored a run. He is 0 for 2 officially.
Dick, we talked earlier about what a treat this ballpark is, and the food in this ballpark has been given awards. It's outstanding ballpark fare. Also, you had the Bulls, Greg Luzinski's barbecue here. Greg, a terrific left fielder for the Phillies for a decade or so.
And a line drive, left field, Seth Smith over his head and off the wall, trying to barehand it, and will retrieve it, but not before Polanco goes into second with a double with 1 out in the 6th inning. That is the 7th hit, or the 6th hit for the Phillies.
We talked about Polanco earlier and about how adept he is at guarding the plate. There are 2 hitters in the major leagues who are hitting 300 with 2 strikes on them. 2. Adrian Beltre of the Red Sox and Placido Polanco. That if you could tell a young pitcher that this is why you stay ahead, because when guys have 2 strikes, they're not the same type hitter. Now Polanco is, Beltre is, but most guys aren't.
Raul Ibanez 0 for 2 with a walk. What is in a hitter's mind when the count goes 2 strikes? Obviously, you want to protect the plate, but what makes a hitter successful?
That's a good question. I mean, there are those who are proponents of choking up on the bat and trying to punch the ball. To me, you choke up on your thinking. You protect a different part of the plate. You protect away. Now, if you protect away, that means you're jammable. But Joe Torre used to have a comment about hitting. He used to say, never let a pitcher get you out away with 2 strikes. Now, which means you're vulnerable inside because you can't protect both sides of the plate. And for the most part, Joe Torre, a terrific hitter, smart hitter, they rarely got him out away with 2 strikes. So what you do, you adapt your thinking. It's not like 2-0 when you can swing from your heels. But for sake of simplicity, I guess you swing from your toes with 2 strikes. You protect away.
And isn't it the case that if you miss inside, you may miss over the plate, which will be a good pitch for a hitter to hit?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, but the key thing is you change your whole thinking. Up to 2 strikes, you're going to hammer the inside pitch. Well, you've got to give away one part of the plate or the other. You can't protect both sides of the plate. So therefore, you go with the thinking that never let a pitcher get you out away with 2 strikes.
Fly ball deep to right field. This will get out of here. Raul Ibanez with a 2-run homer to make it 9-1. Home run of the year for Ibanez. Now 46 runs batted in. And the Phillies add to their lead. And 28-year-old Taylor Buchholz giving up this pitch.
That was a changeup. You could see the grip of the ball in his hand, and maybe Ibanez saw it too. He hammered that one. Home run number 8 on the year.
Second home run of the game. Ian Stewart hit a solo shot for the Rockies. And now Ibanez with a 2-run homer. And here's Ryan Howard. And takes an off-speed pitch up high, ball 1. Howard now with 78 runs batted in. Came in to the game leading the league in RBIs. Had a bases clearing triple back in the 3rd inning. That was the big blow at the plate when the Phillies scored 7 runs. And knocked Jimenez out of the game.
Whenever you see 4 fingers on a pitch and that ring finger becomes involved, then you know it's a changeup. Not only the speed of the pitch, but what he's trying to do, and Ibanez took care of it.
And a strike. Again, the off-speed pitch fooling Howard somewhat, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes to Ryan Howard, who's 1 for 3. Scored a run on a wild pitch in that wild 3rd inning. Checks a swing this time, 2-2. By the way, we showed that luscious cheesesteak, which of course just had the steak and the cheese. Of course, here in Philadelphia, they have all sorts of pickles and peppers and everything to make it tastier than it is. And we want to just remind everyone that cheesesteak was provided by Tony Luke's.
All right, Tony.
Yeah, Tony can make your mouth water with those cheesesteaks. Howard had to duck away. The full count now to Ryan. Phillies trying to catch the Atlanta Braves and came into the game 6 games behind Atlanta in the National League East. Trying to win their 4th straight division title. And that'll be strike 3. And Howard, a couple of words for Darrell Cousins, goes out. That's the second called 3rd strike from Buchholz here in the 6th inning. 2 down. That'll bring up Jason Worth.
Okay, that Atlanta team, if they do make it to the postseason and they have some sort of advantage, they play so well at home. They have the best home record in the National League. At 54 and 30, I beg your pardon, not that good. 34-13. They've lost only 13 games, and here it is, latter part of July. 13 games at home.
2 balls and no strikes to Jason Worth, and what a game he has had. Phillies right fielder singled in the second, walked in the third, and then doubled in the fourth. And by the way, that double, his 31st of the year, and he leads the National League in 2 base hits. Fouls it away, and it's 2-1. Speaking of the Braves, they will play the Marlins tonight, and that's always a tough game. In fact, you could say that about any matchup in the NL East.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's only 2 games out of second place.
Right.
The Marlins are a gritty ball club. Freddie Gonzalez being fired about 3 weeks ago from the Florida Marlins. And a lot of people are saying that he is a candidate for the Atlanta Braves after Bobby Cox retires following this year.
And how about Washington? Only 13 under 500. That's so much better than they have been.
Oh, yeah.
And Worth will go down to first base. Second time he's been walked. 2 out, bases on ball. The 2-run homer by Ibanez, adding to the Phillies' lead off of the third pitcher of the game for them, Taylor Buchholz for the Rockies, and Shane Victorino, who's 0 for 2 with a walk and has scored one of the Philly runs.
Vic, talking about Washington, Steven Strasburg has added buzz to that ball club, and there is nothing in this country that can match Washington buzz.
You can say that on many fronts. Huh? Victorino swings and misses strike 1. See where I go with this. But he certainly has given this baseball team and baseball tremendous.
What a talent.
Oh, yes.
Man.
No balls and a strike to Victorino. 9-1 the Phillies lead. They've out-hit the Rockies 8-4. Ground ball to first base, and Brad Hopp will make it unassisted to retire the side. But the Phillies adding to their lead. Raul Ibanez with the 2-run homer in the 6th inning makes it 9-1, and will return to Philadelphia after these words from your local Fox station. Joey Votto and the Reds, or the Dodgers square off against the Giants in a showdown between bitter NL West rivals, or the Tigers battle the Red Sox in Boston. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, returns next week, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox. Check your local listings for the game and start time in your area. Kyle Kendrick working the 7th inning, and the first pitch is a ball to Carlos Gonzalez, who is 0 for 2, has flied out twice. Joe Beimel, left-hander, working in the bullpen for the Rockies. Grounder to Polanco, and Gonzalez is out, 1 out. Now time for a DirecTV game break, bottom of the 4th, and the A's leading 5-2, and Kurt Suzuki hits a deep drive off of Tony Pena. It's ruled a double, but Oakland manager Bob Guerin argues for a homer, and the umpires meet and rule it a home run, make it 6-2. Jack Cust hits a solo home run to make it 7-2 as the A's, and they have really come on, haven't they, Tim?
They're only a game and a half behind the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, we mentioned earlier, at the Texas Rangers, with a 7-game lead, has the biggest lead of any division leader. So the Rangers 7 up over the Angels, and Oakland playing .500 baseball, which is terrific for Billy Beane and Bob Guerin and his crew.
I want to remind you, the only way to watch every MLB game in HD, call 1-800-DIRECT-TV. Seth Smith, who has doubled and was robbed by Shane Victorino, who made a terrific stab of a line drive that was taking off in left center field back in the 4th. Foul ball off to the right. You talked about the Phillies and the problems that they have had scoring runs. By the way, the sounds of the game, and let's pick it up on the catch by Victorino.
That was a kid in 03.
He just threw that glove up at the right time.
Just put your glove up. It's that easy, huh, Tim?
It is for him. He covers a lot of ground.
1-2 pitch popped up. Shallow left field. Jimmy Rollins is out, called off by Ibanez, who makes the catch for the second out here in the 7th inning. So the Phillies having trouble scoring runs. What about the Rockies now, who were shut out last night and have only 1 run to show after 6 2/3 today?
This is a 10-game road trip. They're right in the middle of it. They're 2-6. They lost 3 out of 4 to the Marlins after losing 2 out of 3 to Cincinnati. And now they are on the verge of losing 2 straight to the Phillies. So not a good road trip for Colorado.
And they can't wait to get home, where they have the 3rd best home record. You mentioned Atlanta with the best, and the Cardinals right behind them. Shot that goes by Ryan Howard. Rounding first and holding up is Ian Stewart. So Stewart with a home run and a sharp base hit to right field. So he has 2 hits today, and that is hit number 5.
Ryan tried the short hop. Ball came up on him, and a clear base hit for Stewart.
Chris Iannetta called out on strikes and grounded out to Polanco. 2 out, 1 on in a 9-1 game. One ball and 1 strike to the Rockies catcher, Kyle Kendrick. And we talked about mentally how he had to handle being sent down and then coming back to face a Rockies team with Ubaldo Jimenez on the mound, and it's been Kendrick who has been airtight, and Jimenez who was knocked out in the 3rd inning. Kendrick has pitched exceptionally well. Last start against the Cardinals on Monday gave up 3 home runs in the 5th inning alone.
7 earned runs in 5 innings.
2-1 to Iannetta. fouled away. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Dick, earlier we talked about the Oakland Athletics. Well, across the bay, boy, are the Giants getting a great brand of baseball played out of Buster Posey. Now, you may not have heard of him. He's from Leesburg, Georgia. 7 home runs, a .438 average. The Giants haven't had a player of the month since 2005, September of 2005. But I think Buster Posey right now is. And the reason the Giants traded Benji Molina to the Texas Rangers was so Buster Posey could have a chance to play, and is he ever playing?
And he was playing some first base when Molina was still on hand there. Got the chance to see him when the Red Sox were out there on Fox. And he seems to be all everything he's saying about him.
Absolutely.
And Bruce Bochy really sky high on him.
No better manager to have as a catcher than a former catcher in Bruce Bochy. The Giants only 3 back now of the San Diego Padres.
Now the Padres continue.
The Padres, everybody keeps saying they're going to lose. Win. That's what the rest of the National League West is saying.
Up the middle on the 3-2 pitch, base hit, and Stewart was running on the pitch, so he'll go to third. And Iannetta with a hit. That's the first time today that the Rockies have had more than 1 hit in an inning. So runners at first and third after 2 are out. And that'll bring up Brad Hopp.
First baseman Brad Hopp.
A lot of hitting instructors talk about going up the middle. That's really to keep the shoulder closed. But, when you think about it, there's more room up the middle. There's more room between a shortstop and a second baseman than any of the other infielders. First and second, short and third.
Brad Hopp 0 for 2.
So you can see there's more room up the middle than there is any place else on the infield. And that's rarely talked about when hitting instructors talk about hitting the ball up the middle.
2 down and runners at the corners for Colorado. That pitch is inside. And the count is 2-0. That was the 97th pitch thrown by Kyle Kendrick, who already has exceeded expectations for the Phillies today.
There's that angle, as you can see, from the shortstop to the second baseman. More room between them than any other spot on the infield.
Oh for 8 with runners in scoring position in this series tells the story for the Rockies offense. They have Jose Contreras has gotten up in the bullpen. Joe Beimel, the left-hander, joining him. And the pitch, ball 4. So Kendrick, after getting 2 quick outs, gives up singles to Stewart and Iannetta, walks Hopp. And there's Contreras.
Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, out to talk to Kyle Kendrick, and this is buying time to give Contreras a chance to warm up. But on a hot day like today, you don't need much time.
Kendrick, that was his first walk of the game, so he's had it going. The bases are loaded with 2 away, and Clint Barmas coming to the plate. 9-1 the score, and it's still the 7th inning, and so this game not put away by any measure when you can think that one swing of the bat can make it a 4-run game.
In this ballpark. Clint Barmas, by the way, with 7 home runs.
And Barmas has been struggling with runners in scoring position. So let's see how Kendrick handles Barmas. With Stewart at third, Iannetta at second, and Brad Hopp at first base. 2 out. First pitch, ball 1. Pitcher's spot is on deck. And so if Barmas can keep it alive, a pinch hitter will be coming up, obviously, and Brad Eldred is in the on-deck circle for the Rockies. 2-0. Jason Giambi getting the day off, and Still available, of course, for Jim Tracy's use. He's been playing a lot lately. Wanted to give him a rest. There's a strike. 2-1. And Kendrick, of course, always has to be concerned with the home run ball. As you see, he's exceeded 100 pitches.
It's a dangerous pitch right here.
The 2-1. And in the air to right center field, Victorino coming over, makes the catch to retire the side. And the Rockies, with 2 out, leave the bases loaded. And the Phillies will come up in a home 7th, leading by 8 runs. Hair color, live forward. Buy new Gillette Odor Shield Antiperspirant. Help eliminate odor, don't just cover it up. And by Gatorade, a proud sponsor of the MLB, introduces the G Series. Gatorade has evolved. On a hot July Saturday, Fox Saturday Baseball bringing you the Phillies and the Rockies. Phillies leading 9-1. And coming up in the home 7th inning, it'll be the bottom third of their order against the 4th pitcher of the day for Colorado, Joe Beimel, making his 43rd appearance. So Joe Beimel, 33-year-old from St. Mary's, PA. That's in western Pennsylvania. We'll be facing Greg Dobbs, who is 1 for 2 with a walk and an RBI, has also knocked in his 14th run. And Dobbs and Cody Ransom is going to be coming up here for Dobbs. So Cody Ransom pinch hitting for Dobbs, who was on base twice today. With the Yankees last year, on the first pitch, hits it back to Beimel and is retired for out number 1. So the pinch hitter is out, and Brian Schneider coming to the plate.
Well, it's that weekend again, huh, Dick?
Hall of Fame time.
And used to have a game accompany the inductees of the Hall of Fame, but tomorrow, 5 members. There'll be members after tomorrow. The great Andre Dawson. What a fabulous player and one of the nicest men probably in the history of the Hall of Fame. Certainly in the history of this game.
Quiet man, didn't blow his own horn.
Nope.
Snyder fouls it out of play, and it's 0-2.
Whitey Herzog, who managed the 1982 World Champion St. Louis Cardinals, also got them to the World Series in 85 and 87. Doug Harvey, John Miller, who has done such a stellar job for years with ESPN and is the voice of the San Francisco Giants. And Bill Madden, who writes for the New York Daily News.
John Miller, of course, was the voice of many teams, the Baltimore Orioles, the Boston Red Sox. Ben Francisco will be batting for Kyle Kendrick. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes to Brian Schneider. And he strikes out for the second out.
8-time NL All-Star, 1987 MVP with the Cubs. The last place club were the Cubs. 8-time Gold Glove winner. His class, his dignity, his talent. And I think in that order.
Yes, that's a very well put. First 11 years with the Expos. 8-time All-Star, you saw it. MVP, Rookie of the Year. Ben Francisco is batting for Kendrick, hitting .229, 2 homers, 13 runs batted in, and 6 for 22 with 4 RBIs as a pinch hitter. Takes outside. Earlier this year, when Hanley Ramirez loafed in the outfield and was taken out of the game by Freddie Gonzalez, it took Tony Perez and Andre Dawson to take Hanley Ramirez aside.
That's right.
To teach him what a professional was all about.
That's exactly right. And they both, they didn't preach to him, they told him. You get the feeling that there were a lot of declarative sentences in that meeting and none coming from Hanley. And but what a young player to have the right to have 2 guys like Tony Perez and Andre Dawson as his mentors.
Now 2
you
Hall
couldn't
of
have
Famers.
2 greater guys. That's right.
Line shot into the left field corner, and it's a fair ball. Francisco will go into second with a double as Seth Smith retrieves it. And a 2-out pinch double by Ben Francisco here in the 7th will bring up Jimmy Rollins for the 5th time.
Clear double, pinch hit double by Francisco. I think what characterizes the class and dignity of Andre Dawson more than any other thing is he shows up in the age of free agency where he could have been. Now this was at a time when there was complicity among the owners to keep the players' salaries down. So collusion was in effect. But Andre Dawson showed up in spring training. I think Dallas Green was running the Cubs at the time. I believe it was 86. It could have been 87. But Andre Dawson said, I'll accept whatever you give me. Whatever you give me. Can you imagine that happening today? I mean, where a player shows up in spring training and says, I'll sign whatever contract you give me. And I believe the number was something like $500,000. And the Hawks signed it and then went on either that year or the year after that to be the MVP. Now that's
so
class
happy.
and dignity.
So happy he's in the Hall of Fame because I got to see him a couple of years ago, and people always would bring that up. They say, you deserve, that's the first thing they say.
That's right.
And it eats at them,
That's right. Yeah.
You deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. No kidding.
Yeah.
The question is, will I ever, and when will I ever get in? But he kept it quiet, and he said hope, and he really kept it inside. So this is going to be such a special day for Andre Dawson.
Yeah. I mean, to a man, people in baseball revere this man in every way. And again, not only because of his talents, but other things that precede that.
Jimmy Rollins is 2 for 4 with a single and a triple. 2 runs batted in, a stolen base, and he has scored a run as well. Phillies in front 9-1, getting 7 in the 3rd, 2 more in the 6th. In a long day for Rocky pitchers, and there's a ball hit to center field. It's a base hit for Rollins. Francisco will come around and score the 10th run for the Phillies. And Jimmy Rollins now 3 for 5. Remember, he was hitting 195 since coming off of the disabled list, but he had a couple of big hits last night and 3 for 5 today. And
so J-Roll is rolling this afternoon.
3 runs batted in. Very important. And J-Roll is rolling. So is Polanco, who doubled his last time up. Placido Polanco has had a busy day in the field as well. One on with 2 out, and slowly hit to third. Ian Stewart on the run. Safe. And Polanco has his second hit. And all of this coming with 2 outs.
That throw by Ian Stewart pulling Brad Hopp off the bag. So Polanco with an infield hit. By the way, our guys in the truck telling us that was 1987, that the Hawk went to Dallas Green and told him, I'll take anything you give me. They paid him $500,000, so far below the market price. What does he do? He wins the MVP that year. Had to be the lowest paid MVP per economic guideline, in whatever the term is.
But it wasn't about the money, as Wilson Valdez will go in and run for Polanco.
The year before, in 1986, Andre Dawson made $1,050,000. So the year of the MVP, his salary was in effect cut in half.
So you don't have to make a lot of money to be an MVP.
To be an MVP.
Right. There's Valdez running. And you know about Whitey Herzog, I read a story today that Ralph Kiner, because Whitey Herzog was the third base coach of the Mets, said Whitey Herzog was the best third base coach I've ever seen.
I read that same article in the New York Times. And he realized the value of being aggressive as a third base coach. And he was very aware of that when he became a manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. And boy, could those guys run. Willie McGee, Ozzie Smith, Vince Coleman. Tommy Herr was the second baseman. Jack Clark provided the power at first. Terry Pendleton. Andy Van Slyke in center field. John Tudor had some great years as a pitcher.
3-0 to Ibanez, who hit a 2-run homer his last time up, now with 8 homers and 46 runs batted in. Phillies leading 10-1 in the bottom of the 7th inning. And a call strike 3-1 to Ibanez. Well, you look at the Philly hitters today. Jimmy Rollins with 3 hits. Polanco with 2. Ibanez with a home run. Ryan Howard a 3-run triple. Jason Worth a couple of hits. And so on down the line. And that's a call strike. Ibanez was on his way down to first. Full count. Greg Gross, a new hitting instructor. And what a fascinating time we had, I thought, in the manager's office, and the questions that you asked Charlie Manuel about the art of hitting.
And you too, Dick. I mean, it was Charlie didn't want us to leave, and we liked that. He loves to talk hitting.
Runners off on the 3-2 pitch and a pop-up, and Clint Barmas will make the catch, and that'll do it. Phillies get another run. 10-1 as we go to the 8th. Now is the left fielder replacing Raul Ibanez. And Cody Ransom, pinch hitting for Greg Dobbs, will replace him at third. And Wilson Valdez, who ran for Polanco, goes in to play second base. And the new pitcher is Jose Contreras. Jose Contreras coming in the eighth inning after a tremendous pitching performance today by Kyle Kendrick. And Brad Eldred, who was in the on-deck circle when Barmas made the third out in the seventh inning, will pinch hit and lead off here in the seventh. And the first pitch is a ball inside. So Contreras making his 39th appearance, leading the Phillies. Pitched last year for the Rockies after he was traded from the White Sox in August of '09. And Eldred hits a fly ball to right field, and Jason Worth is there to make the catch for out number one. Well, now it's time for the Just for Men Keep Your Edge Spotlight. Just as Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins gave the Phillies the edge today, you too can keep your edge with Just for Men mustache and beard. Two big triples in that 7-run third inning, driving in 5 of those 7 runs. Here's Ryan Spilborgh's 1 for 3, first inning single. And a strike one to him.
Dick, we talked about Andre Dawson and what a great player he was, the MVP of the Chicago Cubs back in 1987.
And that will be a fair ball into the right field corner. Spilborgh's, with his second hit, will wind up at second with a double.
And about halfway, I was just looking at the scoreboard. Chicago Cubs beat the St. Louis Cardinals 6-5 today, second straight win for the Cubs over the Cardinals. About halfway between Chicago and St. Louis is Peoria, Illinois. They have for years been the home of the Peoria Chiefs. Two guys, the bench coach for the Philadelphia Phillies, Pete Mackanin, and Jim Tracy, the manager of the Rockies, and also Joe Madden, the manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, managed in Peoria in successive years from 1985, I believe, to 1989. There's 84. Okay, so Joe was there in 84. Pete Mackanin was there in 85 and 86. And Jim Tracy in 87 and 88. And to a man, they are very close with the former owner of the Peoria Chiefs. His name is Pete Vanaken. He is a wonderful guy. He's undergoing some health problems right now, and we want to say hello to Pete. But the reason we bring it up, it's not just out of the blue, but with Lou Piniella retiring at the end of this year, then you've got Ryan Sandberg, who managed Peoria last year, is managing Iowa this year, and could be, don't know, but he could be the manager of the Cubs.
You know, that's a tremendous story of a minor league town that has spawned so many managers and good ones in this game.
And really good ones. And Pete Vanaken certainly responsible for a lot of that. But here Ryan Sandberg may get his opportunity to manage a major league club. Speaking of Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, of course, there aren't many more favorites than Ryan Sandberg.
That's right.
You know, in the Chicago area.
Right.
As Herrera flies out to Victorino for out number 2. And Lou Piniella calling it quits. 3-time manager of the year. Thought that he could get it done when he came to Chicago and just fell short. But that doesn't take anything away from his legacy a little bit.
Won 2 straight divisions, but didn't win a playoff game. Lou's legacy includes the wire-to-wire Reds in 1990. They beat the Oakland Athletics in 4 games. Tony La Russa was the manager. And then he won 116 games with the Seattle Mariners in 2001. Sweet Lou will be gone after this year, and he'll be around the game. He's got to. The game's going to miss him too much.
Absolutely. And, you know, there's so many prospective managers have thrown their hats into the ring, including Ryan Sandberg and Alan Trammell, who is the bench coach for Piniella, Bob Brenly, who is the team broadcaster who has managed a world champion with the Arizona Diamondbacks
in 2001.
pitch is inside to Carlos Gonzalez, who is hitless today in 3 trips.
It's going to be fascinating to see who the Cubs select, because at that time it will be the Ricketts family, second year, and you would imagine that the Ricketts family is they're going to want to make their mark and put their man in there that they hope will have a long tenure, because with a long tenure there's success.
2 balls and a strike to Gonzalez. Bullpen activity. Ryan Madson working for the Phillies, and Houston Street in the Colorado bullpen. Let's check to see whether that is Madson. It is not Madson. Vance Worley is in there as Gonzalez hits one over the head of Victorino off the base of the wall. Spilborghs will score, and into second with a double is Gonzalez. So it's now a 10-2 game, and Gonzalez with his 62nd run batted in of the year. So 2 doubles here in the 8th inning for the Rockies.
Carlos Gonzalez coming to the Rockies in the Matt Holliday trade. He is some player. Little guy with power to all fields, hits the base of the wall, and Gonzalez, as Dick said, with RBI number 62.
Leading the club in that department. His first hit of the game. And the 8th hit for the Rockies. And Seth Smith takes ball 1. So Houston Street, who's been warming up, will be working the bottom of the 8th inning, it appears, as Eldred pinch hit for Joe Beimel to start this inning. 2-0 now to Seth Smith. He has a double today in 3 trips and was the victim of the great catch by Victorino. And there's Houston Street. Pitch in tight, fouled out of play as Smith pulls the ball. So talk about extra base hits for the Rockies as Worley in the pen. Doubles today by Spilborghs, Gonzalez, Smith, and Fowler, in the pinch hitter, who should have stayed at second base and was out trying to stretch it into a triple. And Ian Stewart has a home run. 2-1 from Contreras. And a foul ball at the plate, 2-2. Kyle Kendrick stands to win his 6th game of the year, opposed to 4 losses. And on the other side of the coin, Ubaldo Jimenez with his shortest outing of the year and tying his shortest outing of his career, just 2 innings, facing 6 batters, going to the 3-ball count on all 6 in the 3rd inning, and giving up 6 runs and walking 6.
We talked about the class and dignity of Andre Dawson. Believe me, players who have been in uniform appreciate the fact that a guy can get hammered as a starting pitcher and then come out and see his team complete the game. I know it sounds like, well, he's making so much money, he ought to do that. No. It doesn't work like that. Most pitchers would be gone, history. But Jimenez is out there, and that's what I've heard about him.
So when they say going to the showers, doesn't necessarily mean going to the showers.
It may mean going to the showers and then coming back out.
Okay, or not taking a shower. Run comes in for the Rockies to the 8th. Here's Blue Lawn and Garden Crew. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by DirecTV, to get the best quality picture and sound for your flat screen, switch to DirecTV today. And our aerial coverage of the Navy shipyard and opening up to the sports complex. Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV to find out how you can get 5 months free. Phillies batting in the bottom of the 8th, leading 10-1. And the new pitcher is Houston Street, making his 14th appearance. Was on the disabled list. Missed the first 69 games of the year with shoulder inflammation, facing Ryan Howard, who has a 3-run triple, 1 for 4.
That was a big loss for the Rockies, too, because Houston had 35 saves last year for Colorado.
Howard goes around and misses 0-2. He did take the loss in Game 3 and Game 4 of the National League Division Series to the Phillies. And has 6 saves and 7 opportunities since coming back. Ryan Howard now with 78 runs batted in, leading the National League in RBIs, and the count 1-2. Street is the 5th pitcher of the game for the Rockies. That one gets away, and ball it actually hit Ryan Howard on the bounce, and Howard will trot down to first base, so he reaches for the second time.
I'm not sure where it hit him. I think it bounced and then bounced up and hit his left knee. Ryan appears to be all right. Fortunately for the Phillies and Ryan Howard, that ball bounced first, exactly, right in the kneecap. That at least took a little sting off.
Phillies with a runner on, and Jason Worth, who's been on base 4 times today, with a single and a double. He's been walked twice. Strike 1 to Jason Worth. Came into the game hitting 280 and now at 284. A lot of the Phillies who have been slumping at the plate, and there have been many, as pointed out earlier, may show some signs here.
Yep. There's still plenty of time left. Only 6 games back from the Atlanta Braves, but the Braves are playing very well, so you can't look to the Braves to collapse for you to overtake them. You have to look for improvement out of yourself. That's always the way it is.
No question. Worth, who had that game-winning RBI single against Street in the top of the 9th inning, so the two are facing each other here. And a comebacker, and the double play, 1-6-3, and there are 2 down. Well, Fox Sports is proud to team with the Breast Cancer Research Foundation during our 2010 MLB on Fox season. The Breast Cancer Research Foundation helps fund the most advanced and promising breast cancer research. So join the fight by texting CURE, that's C-U-R-E, to 27722 to donate $10, or visit bcrfcure.org. Messaging and data rates may apply. Shane Victorino on the first pitch. Fly ball, left field, and Smith comes in to make the catch, and that'll retire the side. And we go to the 9th. The Rockies trailing by 8 runs. Invite, all new, part of a full hour. Then after a brutal murder and a speedy trial, did the right man go to jail on an all-new America's Most Wanted? It all starts tonight at 8/7 Central on Fox. So it's 10-2. The Phillies lead the Colorado Rockies, who come up in the ninth inning. And the new pitcher is Vance Worley, who's making his MLB debut. 22-year-old from Sacramento, California. Called up Wednesday, and yet to pitch at AAA. He had a 9-4 record in 19 starts and a 3.20 earned run average. He had pitched 17 consecutive scoreless innings at Reading when he was called up. So here he is, Vance Worley, in his debut, facing Ian Stewart in the ninth. Stewart, 1-2 for 3.
So Vance getting his toe wet.
First pitch is a strike. Stewart with a home run in the fifth, his 14th of the year, and a single in the seventh inning. Phillies do have bullpen activity. David Herndon, another rookie. 1-1 to Stewart. There's Herndon. And the pitch is inside. So the second game since the Phillies made a big change, replacing Milt Thompson as the batting coach and bringing back Greg Gross, winning last night 6-0 and leading here 10-2. Former Indian batting instructor by the name of Charlie Manuel. He had a great story about when he became manager of the Indians.
What a great story. In 2000, I believe it was, he had been the hitting instructor of the Indians for about 3 years before that. And when he was named manager, he said nobody in the front office knew who he was. And the reason was he had been spending so much time down in the bowels of the stadium working with his hitters, nobody ever saw him. So Charlie said John Hart, then the general manager, told him when he got the job as manager, Charlie, you ought to go up to the front office.
Meet some of these
and
folks.
introduce yourself so our people know who you are.
You think that
I don't
can
know
happen
what
here?
you look like.
You think that can happen here in Philadelphia, where you become the manager and a lot of the people in the organization may not know you?
But it was such a refreshing, cute story about him spending so much time with hitters, and he considers hitting instructor the toughest job in the game, and pitching instructor right behind that.
And you brought out something that he was impressed with, and you talked about how hitters only see the angle from being in the plate, looking down at the plate, being in the batter's box. And he says they ought to go behind where you saw the game at the catcher. You and the umpire had the best view, and he liked that idea of taking a view from behind.
Because when you think about it, the only view that a hitter has, with the exception of hitters who are catchers, the only view they have is the view that Ian Stewart has right there, looking down at the plate instead of an umpire's view.
And Victorino looking up at the ball and making the catch for out number one.
Now we're going to bring this back, I'll guarantee you. So if you miss this, we're going to talk about it some more at later dates, I'll guarantee you. But that's an umpire's view right there. A hitter, unless he is a catcher, once again, never has that view. So wouldn't it make sense for a hitter to stand behind home plate with a hitter there in spring training and just catch the ball and get the view that the catcher and the umpire has? And then you may not complain about the pitch that hits the front corner or the pitch that you thought was low, because you get a different view. You get the view the umpire is getting. And I don't think any team has an exercise like that. But Charlie Manuel, you could see his
face
things
brightened.
were ticking.
Yep.
That mind was ticking, and he thought, that's a good idea. And when he says it, he's not telling you what you want to hear.
No.
He's telling you exactly what he thinks.
1-1 to Iannetta, who has a single and 3 trips. One out here in the ninth inning. And the count 2 balls and 1 strike. The producer of today's game is Pete Macheska, and the director Ray Tipton. We want to thank our production and technical staff for a job well done here in Philadelphia. The associate director is Kathy Hunt. And the broadcast associate is Eric Mandia. Technical producer is Matt Benedict, and the technical director, Rick Tugman. The pregame show is produced by Don Bowie. The highlights coordinator, Janice Kazaza, and the technical supervisor, Jack Simmons. Vice president of operations is Jim Bernard. Ball strike to Iannetta, and the count is full with one out here in the ninth inning. The Phillies facing Ubaldo Jimenez and going with Kyle Kendrick, who had been their fifth starter but sent down earlier in the week. And the big edge, you would say, going in for Jimenez and the Rockies. Not to be. And a foul ball. And shaken up at the plate is Iannetta.
Might be a cramp. On a day like today, particularly if you're a catcher, the toes cramp, the shin cramps, the calf looked like a calf cramp. Can you believe that those of us who've played sports all our lives and all that used to go with that adage that you never want to drink water? Never want to drink water. 2-a-day football practices. Don't drink a lot of water. Well, wait a minute. Then you grow up, then through a lifetime, you find out that drinking water is the best thing in the world for you. And other things to replenish your system.
Gatorade, which is one of our sponsors.
Sure.
Iannetta strikes out for out number 2. So Vance Worley, coming in his major league debut, gets the first 2 batters he faces here in the ninth inning. And the Phillies broke open the game with 7 runs in the third inning, sending 11 men to the plate. And if looking at the updated standings, with the Phillies winning their third in a row, would go to 50, or I should say, Phillies 51-46, and 5.5 behind the Braves, who play tonight. And Colorado would be losing. They'd be 51-46 also, and they would fall 6 behind the San Diego Padres. But going into today, it was interesting that the Rockies were closer to first place than the Phillies were, but now it's reversed. And, of course, San Diego plays at Pittsburgh tonight, and Matt Latos, who has just been activated from the disabled list, will be on the mound for San Diego. 1 ball, 1 strike to Brad Hopp, who was 0 for 2 and walked his last time, and 2-1 the count now. And it's 3-1. And the capacity crowd, the extended sellout, 44,789, the 86th consecutive sellout here in Philadelphia. And many of the fans, now that it's gotten a little more comfortable here with the shadows, Tim.
Yeah, thankfully the 4 o'clock starts.
Going to do other things. Call strike. And a full count. And the game is over, and the Phillies win their third in a row, second straight over the Rockies. And Colorado drops their 4th straight game. Final score, 10-2, the Phillies win, and we'll wrap things up from Philadelphia right after these messages from your local Fox station.